Welcome to Mastering Innovation Together with Kevin Mobley and Chris Koomey of Thorben Consulting. And Kevin, you've been involved with a lot of businesses over the years. You've been involved with software performance engineering. You're now focused on Annabelle's mac and cheese. But we all got impacted by COVID. And I know one of your passion came out in COVID with your ITG Medical. So tell a little bit about how the idea came and then how you mobilized some resources that were out there.
Sure. Well, we created masks, and we didn't just create some piece of cloth over your mouth. We tried to create something you could breathe and wear and be comfortable in, at the same time as protective as any N95 mask that you would have bought before COVID. And we also, along the way, wanted the product to be made 100% in the U.S. So, and we're doing all this in real time, during the middle of COVID, when demand was crazy and education was very low. So I grew up in a small town called South Boston, Virginia, which used to be one of the textile, forces in the country, pre-NAFTA. And so, I went back home and I knew the skills were there. And people had needed the jobs. Who had previously worked in a lot of mills were now working at fast food joints. And those mills were important because that's how people put their kids to college. That's how they created the next generation of wealth. And now to see those folks working, minimum wage jobs, just trying to make it through retirement, because most of them didn't have enough money when those plants were closed to truly kick back and just, sit out on their boat for the rest of their life. They still had to make enough money to make the ends meet. So we had one particular lady. One of my favorite stories is this one lady that we employed, that she lived in a trailer, and she was able to use the resources that she earned working with us to completely renovate that trailer. She put in a whole new kitchen, whole new bathroom, all new flooring. And that was a life-changing experience for her. She's 70 years old. And she was very much active and spry and had plenty of life left in her, and had a family that loved to come and hang out and interact with her. And for her to be able to transform her home, because we were able to put her back to work in a place, and using skills that she had, incredible sewing skills, just felt good. And it's the kind of thing that I know there's a big movement right now to start remaking things in this country again, and I'm a firm believer that we need to make stuff. COVID gave me an opportunity to work on a project that to make something physical and tangible. I'd only ever worked on software projects before COVID. Annabelle was still in the early stages of coming up. And so ITG Med was another project that just brought me a lot of joy.
And, as an entrepreneur, it's always about how do we look at what resources are available and how do we use them in a different way. And really what you tapped into is that we have people with skills that aren't being used. We have people with talent, people with drive that want to make things. And as an entrepreneur, I think that, to me, that was kind of the beauty of that, was you're letting people tap into their passion in that time of massive uncertainty. And so I think that's really a lesson, I think, for all entrepreneurs. Is there's always an underutilized resource, and how can you put it into effect more effectively, like what you did with ITG Medical?
Yeah, and it was all being done in real time. I mean, COVID was that impact everybody. Nobody could get out of the house, so we didn't try to build a big operation in a building, because nobody felt safe being in large groups in buildings. So I took the skills that we had been working from home in technology forever. When I built ITG, my technology company, from day one, we worked from home. So we did the same thing. We put people to work inside their homes, building those masks, and we had a quality control to make sure the mask was still healthy and safe. And we used that system, and it worked beautifully. Folks were gainfully employed in a time where a lot of people were not sure how they were going to take care of themselves, and what was going on. They were doing something. They weren't just sitting in the house watching TV, and they were making a difference. Folks felt like they were impacting in a positive way their community, and we were making something that wasn't just your standard old mask. Anybody who knows me, I'm always been serious about doing things that make a difference. So in the performance world, we've set world records, designing software systems in the mac and cheese space. We're creating a product that's reintroducing, quality food at a local level. With these masks, my goal was that I wanted to be comfortable, something we all hated wearing them. I wanted it to be super protective. That's something that didn't get enough attention in the early days of COVID. So the mask themselves was made from a nano fabric that trap particles at the same level that you would get from an N95 mask. So it was extremely protective. And I wanted to be made in the USA, just like we had workers being made. You know, workers were here. We wanted our fabric to be from here, and so we checked all those boxes.
Yeah,
And
and they were great, and we were big fans of them. But I also think part of the innovation was the audience also, because while a lot of people were staying home, people that were working at restaurants were not staying at home.
yep,
And I know part of your mission was to do it in a way where it could be organized by restaurant with colors and things like that. So talk a little bit about how not only were you helping the people that were producing, but the users had a bigger mission as well.
yeah, I was extremely sensitive to those service workers that were out there who couldn't stay at home and wait for their money to show up. And they were dying and they were getting sick, and we weren't paying enough attention to those folks. And I wanted to make sure they had a quality mask. And if you had to work all day in a hot, sweaty, difficult environment, having something that you would keep on your face was first. You know, I mean, they talked a lot about, put something over your face, but most of the time the stuff was sitting down here or down here with chin wear or and below the nose wear or whatever. But having a mask that you would want to comfortably wear was, to me, incredibly important. Obviously, you're in a service environment or a public facing environment, so there's oftentimes colors and things like that that need to match up with what people wear. So we made sure that we designed masks, with that fit within the decor of those stores. And there was an education process involved. To be frank about it, it didn't all work out, because uh, the education around quality of mass was lagged substantially behind the demand for, hey, put something over your face. For a long time it was just like anything works as long as the person looks like they're being protected. A lot of restaurants didn't really weren't taking the time to think through that problem. But we had a few out there that did, and we appreciate those ones that did, and I think we made a difference with their workers.
Yeah, but I think the real issue is that as any entrepreneur, you found a problem
Yep.
and you used a creative way to source it, a creative way to solve it. And I think that's really kind of at the essence of, we never know what's coming next,
Yep.
but it's that kind of drive is really what it takes to master innovation together.
It does, and speed matters. I mean, if I had to say one thing, one of the biggest lessons I learned out of experience was we were a little slow. Very much. I'm a perfectionist, so I wanted things to be done right, and we were moving a little slow at times. And so speed matters when you're in that kind of dynamic, because you don't know how long that problem is going to be around and how long you're going to have that captive audience. And so I will tell you that that's one of the lessons I took away from that, is that we needed to be even faster than we were. And not that we didn't try. I mean, I burned up. I was on the road more. I drove more miles during COVID than probably just about anyone who, unless their job was to be a trucker. I mean, I drove from here to Virginia to Maryland to North Carolina to everywhere, because we had to find supplies, we had to find equipment. Obviously, I had to keep the employees up and running. So I'd be out on the highway, to be no one out there, and I'd just be running the highways all day and all night, just keeping that thing going. So
Yeah, and that's the key to being an entrepreneur, and that's where mastering innovation together is helping people, bring people together and solving problems. So, thank you, Kevin Mobley.
you're welcome.
Thank you for mastering innovation together today with Thorben Consulting. This is Chris Koomey. We'd love to hear from you. If you enjoy the show, if you have any comments, questions, or just want to learn more about what we do. Thanks for joining us.